day yet.
at Planet Fitness.
Yeah, yeah.
Talk about it.
Now, there wasn't really anybody doing like anything like I mentioned last week, like, doing exercise in the wrong area or anything. I didn't notice any of that. Just the volume. But I will say too that we were there like, what did we get there? Like 3:30. The after school crowd was still there, and then like kind of like the early like, I won't say work crowd, but there was like some 40-year-old types, whatnot, in their 20s, 30s. Come on, man. All right, so here we are, episode 6, and I'll say the last episode of Flagler Weekly, as we know it.
How do you feel about that?
I feel okay about it. I feel like it was kind of a happy mistake that could lead to some networking, and it also was an opportunity to, I don't know, like show class and character. Like over the past week, we've gotten a lot of activity on our pages, and it was pointed out that there's already a Flagler News Weekly.
Okay.
And, well, as you know, when we first just came up with it, we wanted to Flagler Weekly. We're going to talk about Flagler every week. That's what we do.
Yeah. We also, for the record, looked up Flagler Weekly, and I personally did not see anything.
Yeah. And what ended up happening is that's already an established.
See, look how it looks for me.
Yeah.
I click share.
Yeah. Oh, I see that. Yeah.
I click share, and then to group. Boom.
All right. That's because it's from a group, I believe. But anyway, yeah. So it's pointed out, and then also in our comments, someone was like, "Oh, you're looking similar to this other thing that's already in existence and known." And and we're doing this thing, me and you started this, like how the whole thing started is like speakerphone conversations.
Right.
Me and Baby O on phone with you, and it would be hilarious. And we talk about,
And we would disagree about everything.
yeah, because, me and you have different viewpoints, yet have been friends for a long time.
Right. And what we wanted to do is really speak for the people. And, anytime anything that was going on in Palm Coast, sometimes it would seem like other publications, they would kind of be in bed with the city of Palm Coast and they'd be scared to talk about some stuff. So we wanted to be very transparent.
And also, too, like I mentioned in the little meeting, there's different circles of people that have different concerns and different echelons who might not come into what we're trying to put out from other sources, because it's just not how they navigate the internet.
Right. And there honestly is a new wave of young content creators that are putting out a lot of content and getting a lot of traffic, and it's kind of messing up the whole equilibrium that a lot of people have here. Guys.
But I feel their point of view, like they've been working on something. Now, whether you say like this web traffic goes there or goes here, either way, like what they're trying to, have more of a serious news brand, whereas we're more not opinion. Sure, we talk about local topics that are of fact, but we don't want to be held to this scrutiny of the news, because that really limits us. We want to talk about what people think and how we feel about it.
I don't think we are held to the news. I think we're just guys talking about stuff.
Yeah, but I think from their point of view is them trying to be that, and putting out things that are non-factual kind of could give them a bad light for being a reputable news distributor. So So the bottom line is, we're going to be changing the name because we're not doing this to try to. We want to make friends with everybody in Palm Coast. Like, we love Palm Coast. We love Flagler. Like, our families live here. This is where we're from. Like, we've not lived here, been back, left, but this is where we're at. So, yeah, and the name is to be determined. So I think it worked out well in the end.
I don't. And I think I'm going to put on the record that I don't. But being a team member that I am, I'm going to I think we can go this direction and then see how it goes and then we can go from there. You know what I mean? But
Well, my thing is, I don't want nobody trying to say, "Oh, y'all are trying to copy them or ride on their name," whoever it may be, because that's not. We're not trying to do that.
we're
And
definitely not trying to
and
do
what we're
that.
going to be coming out with soon, we're going to be coming out with a lot of original content.
Right.
And we want to have multiple. I don't call them shows, but shows on our page.
Right.
And some of them are going to be opinion. A lot of them are going to be opinions. There's going to be some interviews, some talking, some. I already mentioned the call-in show. So
I definitely agree.
I just want to I don't want to be accused of that by anyone. So I say we build our own brand, and I want something with John and Dave.
I don't like that name.
I know, but I like it though.
It's just too long.
I heard that your podcast name should be 4 words or less.
Flagler Weekly. But whatever, man.
Yeah.
I don't like it, but we're gonna have to. We're definitely gonna be talking about some things moving forward, but we don't have to talk about it right now.
Mm-hmm.
One thing that I do want to start off talking about is, did you hear about the dude in the F section who shot himself, or not shot himself, shot his grandparents?
His grandparent, yeah. Yeah, because my sister called me. I was just randomly talking to her, and she was like, "Oh my god," because she lives in the L section where the chase ended up stopping at was right around the corner from her house.
Well,
And she was like, "Oh, my husband called me, and he's like, what the hell is going on? There's 50 cops around our neighborhood."
damn,
So that's how I originally heard about it.
that's crazy.
But what I would say is that was in the F section, right?
Yeah, he shot them in the F section. Farnham.
Farnham.
hmm
And I would point out what's going on in the F section because
Do you think there's do you think one section has higher crime than another?
I mean I think everybody used to know back in the day it was the P section behind the middle school.
Like Wadsworth, like those duplexes over there and stuff?
Yeah, like Plainview, that one,
hmm
whatever that big street that you used. It's one street, but it comes out twice on Belterre, right before you get to
hmm
Buddy Taylor and Wadsworth there.
hmm
I think that was known as a bad street for a while,
mm
back in the early 2000s and stuff.
Rimfire, kind of a little bit or something like
Yeah,
that.
then after that, there was, and it's in a lot of duplex areas, but there's also a lot of duplex areas in the P section too,
And the B section.
and the B section. People always said slumming in the B's, but that's
Nobody ever said that.
I've said it. I'm somebody, but I know you love the B section.
I love it, dude.
That's
Do you think there's should we top sections? That's fire, bro.
top section list.
Top section list. That's fire. That's fire.
Based on what though?
I mean, I feel like the C section's number one just because it got the waterways. I mean, we would put based on.
Well, I mean, honestly, too, there's nicer houses there.
Then you might got
Then what's that across from Publix? The E section.
is,
That's a nice
is
section.
Seminole Woods like a section, or would we do the S section and the U section as separate sections?
I think that's the same section.
Me too. What do you think?
I think that the S section, we should just do all of them. All of them
'Cause that's all
have their own
together?
category. Yeah.
It's all in Seminole Woods though.
So you're saying it should be 3 different categories or one Seminole Woods?
Well, every section should have its own category.
Mm. So then it wouldn't be like a top 10, it'd be like a top 15 or 16 or something.
That'll give you the most. Yeah, that's the most accurate list. It'll be well thought out too, because it's so many.
It's not. I see. I think that's messy because then that's putting somebody at the bottom. If you just got like the top five, the rest is just, you know what I mean?
Yeah. The thing with lists is crazy
You could
though.
be five and still be cool.
But you know, the thing about any list is people are gonna disagree with it, as we saw.
As we saw.
Yeah.
We looked in to some of the comments and we had a look at the health department list.
Yeah.
Let's talk about this.
All right.
Okay.
All right.
So one thing that I will say is it's crazy how we didn't look at the health department list before you made the list,
Yeah.
and none of them were on the health department list.
Well, the first thing I want to say about the list is that, like, we're like, okay, let's make a list, and then we start thinking about it, and you can't get everywhere. Like, and it's supposed to be like all fine dining places. Is that based on like a nice place? You know what I mean? Like, I think no.
We definitely can't see that.
Yeah, I can't do that. Just say it. What did he say?
He said you're saying like too much,
Oh, like.
but we
All right,
definitely
no,
can't read that.
That's good. Yeah. Well, he said he was going to tap on that. I just
Forgot.
didn't forget. But that was a flow buster. That's for sure. So we're talking lists.
Yes.
Okay.
And you were bringing up how it became a list.
Yeah, I guess, thought of 10 places that have consistently been good and put it out. And then,
And I told you, I was like, I don't care who's on the list, but one person that has to be on the list is China One. That's my favorite.
you did say that.
I was just like, China One, and I literally just went there, and it's fire consistently fire.
That's what I say too. And, everybody's got their own opinion. And then we said at the top of it, Flagler Weekly's top picks.
Not your top picks,
Yeah.
not their top
Yeah,
picks, not
not-
Susie's top picks,
Yeah.
not Jason's top picks.
And not voted by citizens. Mm-hmm. Now, I stand by the list pretty strongly. However, like when you're thinking about something and you overthink, so you really aren't thinking properly. Because me and Baby O's favorite place to go is Terra Nova's. We go there.
Oh yeah, I remember you
all the
said
time.
You want to cop some, please?
Yeah. So, and then like I said, like overthinking, like I'm like, but no, and we're trying to limit it down to 10 quick places, but I wanted to include like a little spot from everywhere also.
I wanted, in the beginning, I said, Dave, this is what you should do. You should do a top 10 Palm Coast list. Then you should do a top 5 Flagler, top 5 Bunnell, top 5 Hammock.
Yeah. And in retrospect, I agree. I agree. So, but also another thing that I just in my brainstorming forgot about is the Portuguese place over by Cantina, because that place is excellent as well. So that's my only two regrets about it.
Only 2?
Terra Nova's and what is it? Portuguese bar and grill.
Yep.
I believe so. Portuguese bar and grill.
Yeah.
And what was funny about it is like people are so tribal about where they go. It's like, no, China King's better. No, China One's better. No, Bamboo Creek. Oh, China One sucks. It's like, and each person that makes the comment is so like sure of their comment, but there's so many conflicting comments. So there's no real right answer to that. It's just not. And then to what Baby O first was just pointing out to start this off is the health department list. So everybody who commented their favorite place, just know.
Literally 85% of you guys.
Yes. Kawa Sushi got roaches. Kawa Sushi wasn't on the list.
It was not on the list.
And you should be going to the one in European Village. And I even said in the little comment, I've been to them all. I keep coming to this one.
And
oh, go ahead.
and it's just, I'm gonna be honest with you. The Cantina Louis slander was disgusting, and I couldn't believe it, man. Like, I've been there, and it's been good the 2 or 3 times that I've been there.
I just went there the other day. Like
I love
I
Cantina.
love Taco Tuesday there.
Bro, I don't understand where people are coming from. Cantina Louis, I'd love for us to be a sponsor from y'all. We were just talking about that. We're gonna make Cantina Louis a sponsor. We're gonna make that happen, just like that.
Yeah.
We're gonna be called Cantina Louis Weekly.
Yeah, I did.
That's gonna be a new inside joke.
Yeah, there was a lot of hate on that place. I really didn't understand it. You know, I like the idea of like the fusion tacos. I wasn't going for like authentic Mexican street tacos.
Some people are talking about, oh, Island Margaritaville. Bro, they've been here like 3 days. Chill.
Exactly. The same with Craves. Like, now we went to Craves
Yeah, we went to Crave.
and it was really good.
It was really good.
But consistently, like, you can't use Martin's Steam.
Yeah, not even that. They
On
said
that.
they're going to be changing up the menu. So we got to go back with the new menu. It's not
Exactly.
even Crave's menu.
Yeah, I'm not
That's what
saying Craves.
They're not even technically open as Crave's
No,
yet.
I'm not saying it wasn't
And
amazing
shout out to
when we
them.
went.
We love them too, and we love the owners there.
Yeah, it was really good. Yeah.
Yeah.
And the owner was really nice when we met him.
And next year, because we're going to put out another list next year,
Yeah. So,
and that one
Shoot
is
for
going to
that.
be, oh man, oh boy.
yeah, someone, just, I don't want to like bash any place that I don't agree that someone said should be on the list because we're not about that here.
No.
And that's why we're not naming.
But
any-
we're going to defend our list.
Yeah, we're going to defend our picks, and that's why
Let-
we're going to name names on the health department list. Y'all can check that out if you want to on your own accord.
Let's go through a couple of the things on the list right here.
All right.
Here we go. Tie by tie. I think we got a good census. Everybody's like, nobody on this list is right, except for tie by tie. Everybody's like, tie by tie is good.
I mean, I've lived in multiple states. I've been to at least 50 Thai restaurants. Thai by Thai is up there.
It's like that.
It's good. It's really good. And like someone was like saying, I was talking about the Indian place is. Oh, hold on, let me just stop. Okay, let me just stop because I don't want to. I'm not going to say anything. But it's like, oh, is that the only Indian place you've ever been? Because that's what it sounds like to me. And I'm not saying they're not good. I've eaten there a few times, and they're pretty good. They didn't make the top 10 list of
I'm saying
my
you know
list
what I mean?
personally.
Okay. You already talked about Kawasushi. Bantam Chef, people felt like that was, it's like, oh, you can't hate on Bantam Chef because like whether you like it or not, it's like number one. It's like the most popular, it's the most famous, it's the most staple. It's the location is like small and like hometown.
It's got the hole in the wall vibe.
You know what I mean? Like, and it's damn near connected to like the City of Palm Coast building or something, or the
The old courthouse. Yeah, the old courthouse.
Yeah, it's like what is going on?
And they actually have they have a second location downtown St. Augustine as well. And that one's actually a little fancier looking. And they got a like fancy sign. So if you had never been to the original one, you wouldn't even like know what the original is like about.
So let's see what else we got on the list. High Tulip.
I love High Tulip
People were indifferent about that.
a little bit. I think it's good. Every time I've been there, it's good. I love the gigantic latte.
People were hating on Burger Bros.
I
didn't see any answers that I really liked better than Burger Bros.
People said hockey pucks.
That's crazy.
But
So disrespectful.
yeah, but it was
People
compared.
were rude in those comments.
They were, they compared it to like another like, well, the place over in Flagler. What's that?
Breakaways?
No, the burger place.
Wham Burger?
Yeah, Wham Burger. Now, personally, I've been to both places a couple times, and I feel like I like the burger at Burger Bros. It's big, it's good, it's good.
Yeah, like I'll tell you what I think snuck on the list, but I'm definitely gonna go try is Sun Bros. Never been there.
Yeah, it's good. And you know what I really like about there too I like the environment. Like when you walk in, there's like couches and chairs.
Mm.
You get like a coffee cup with unlimited coffee.
That's what's up.
Every food item I've tried has been good.
What kind of foods do they have?
They have a lot of foods.
Like breakfast items? Or
yeah, yeah.
Not like steaks.
No, no, not steaks.
Like pasta?
No, it's not like that.
So what do they have?
I mean, I don't know the menu on
Well,
hand.
what did you get when you went there?
Well, last time I went there, I got biscuits and gravy,
Okay.
and it was really good.
Okay.
I liked it. It came on a nice plate. It was served good. I sat at the couch and ate it.
Okay.
They had a couple different kinds of coffee. They were all great.
Mm. Okay.
You know, they got salads. I don't know the menu. I don't know the menu. I don't know.
So that's pretty much the list, and we're gonna come up with a couple of different ones and stuff like that. But I need you guys to understand we appreciate all the comments and want you guys to keep on letting us know, and maybe you let us know where we need to go to and where we need to try.
Yeah.
If it's there's a couple spots that people named that I think I might need to try, like Rustica. I've never been there before.
And I really liked about it. The main thing I liked about it is that all the discussions that other people were having with each other about it, like, oh, you need to try here, no, you need to try there. This is good there.
Mm-hmm.
And also too, like the way we shared it, and like every like little share group had its own conversation about how it was going.
Some were going harder than others.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so what we got next?
Popular orca. Everyone's talking about it.
The orca situation.
Yes.
So, in Palm Coast, they say Jungle Hut is Palm Coast, which is that I thought that was Hammock.
I thought it was Hammock too. Maybe it doesn't start until a little further down though.
That's possible. We're gonna have to check that out. I would love if Jungle Hut was a part of Palm Coast and Palm Coast had a beach and it was called Jungle Hut Beach. I think that'd be the best beach in Florida. Just gonna go ahead and say that. But so over 2 days ago, yesterday, early in the morning, it seemed like all of a sudden, like the news people were out there, it was flooding everybody's Facebook. They were live, like helicopter views and stuff like that. And there was like a beached killer whale. And there's so many different speculations and crazy stuff being talked about because, one, a lot of people say that killer whales aren't really from this area. Another thing, people are saying that they usually ride in packs, so they thought they might have seen the other packs close by or something like that. And then, like, what is the meaning of how it got killed? Couple crazy different situations.
Yeah. Well, I heard that it's not that it doesn't happen all the time, but it does happen where orcas do come in this area.
Alive or like?
No, alive. Yeah, yeah. I mean, and,
So I guess it could have came alive and then died.
Because just like a couple of days before that, there was a lot of blue whales going by on Flagler Beach, and a lot of people were taking photos.
Yeah,
and talking about that.
that did happen.
Yeah, and there was drone.
You think
footage of that as well.
migration's going on right now?
Yeah, whatever their cycle is, they're definitely cruising by. Well, I mean, it is winter too, so the waters do have to be warmer here than other places. That could be a factor. I mean, I'm not a marine biologist, but it seems logical. I mean, manatees like to move into warmer water.
That makes sense.
I actually just looked this up. It says that the orcas tend to go towards the cold water. So,
Interesting.
the cold front coming, I don't know if that has anything to do with cold water, but isn't there a bunch of cold water just like...
Well, is also too that the Gulf Stream, which brings warm water all the way to England, it, runs through that area too. So that well would have been on the east side of that stream if they avoid that cool water.
It also says that they do this during April and May. So I guess this is like an early migration. Possibly.
Yeah, I mean,
So I got something interesting, and I just wanted to look it up on the phone just to make sure. Marineland. So check this out. Marineland is about 2 miles down the road, a 10-minute drive from where the orca landed at.
Yeah, true.
Now, one thing that's creepy is I don't see them with any posts about the orca or anything like that.
But what does Marineland really even do? Like I went. I remember I went when I used to live in Jacksonville. We went on a field trip to Marineland, and that was in like I don't know 88, 89.
It says we inspire the protection of marine species and habitats through emotional interactions with our animals.
But you can't like. It's not like SeaWorld though, right? Because when I went way back then, it was kind of like a mini
They say they
SeaWorld.
have dolphin adventures, like you can ride with dolphins and stuff like that.
So do you think the majority of the work that they do is more like just with the animals, not necessarily interacting the animals with the public?
Yeah, I think they do some science shit over there and stuff like that. But that's what I'm saying, the science shit. Like, I'm not saying that they did anything to this killer whale, but I'm saying it's a little fishy, marine land, because one thing I will say, hold on a second, one thing I will say is that in the pictures that I saw is like the news was there, the police were there, SeaWorld was there, and they're all the way in Orlando. So it took them an hour to get out here. And then but I didn't see Marineland.
But maybe that's because Marineland don't have anything to do with the dolphins. So why would they call them? Now you know me, I'm up for a conspiracy theory.
A conspiracy fact.
Yes, it's conspiracy fact. I don't know. I mean,
I like to add that when did we find the whale? Was it washed up when we first saw it, or was it in the water
no.
alive?
I seen the original. Somebody posted like when it was first washing in, that it was caught in the waves. And the waves kept going on it. But they beached themselves though too. So did that whale beach itself, or did it die in the water and get caught in the current and come in?
Why do you think it would beach itself?
That's like what whales do when they beach themselves to die, I guess. And other animals do that too. Like, don't dolphins do that? I've heard of marine animals that beaching themselves is a term.
Look that up a little, Dave. But I definitely suggest foul play, and by the next podcast, we're definitely going to be able to tell. So anybody in the comments, let me know if you suggest foul play, yes or no. So there's been a lot. What else have we seen in Palm Coast, little Dave?
Right before we move to that, it says that most dolphins strand themselves because they're sick or injured. That's just like with dolphins. So I guess
didn't like one of the latest things that they said about the whale is that it was like sick or something like that.
bad weather, old age, if they're making a lot of navigation errors and hunting too close to shore can also contribute to beaching. So maybe he was chasing some food too close to the shore, got caught up.
Did you see how small their wings are? I'm like, damn, them wings be holding them up. It's crazy.
Yeah.
As far as Palm Coast,
Oh, hold on. I feel like this is a quick breakaway because we talked about Matanzas Inlet and how you were talking about currents and that the vantage point and how the name Matanzas means massacre in Spanish.
Which is crazy to think about that they would name the school Matanzas.
Yeah, and Matanzas was Massacre Woods. But now I heard the story of that is that an English ship got caught on a sandbar in Matanzas Inlet because, this is already a Spanish occupied territory. And what they did is they had a standoff that went on for a while. And eventually they struck a deal where they said, okay, well, you guys come off the boat like 2x2 or 3x3, whatever it was. And every boatload, as soon as they got up in the shore, they murdered them. They killed them, yeah. And that's why it was called Matanzas Massacre.
Dang.
That's the massacre that took place.
Matanzas Inlet.
Yeah, and then if you ever there's different little, I think it was on a boat tour or something like that through the Matanzas thing, and they go by because there's a little guard, there's a smaller
Is that
fort.
the haunted people? Is that why it's Spain is or Spain. Is that why St. Augustine is haunted?
Haunted city. I think that's just a thing because it's so old, and like a lot of people have lived and died there, and it's like a gimmick. Maybe there is some haunted stuff because it is pretty creepy in some of the older parts at night if you go
It
there
is.
like late in the neighborhoods and stuff
It is creepy.
with the little roads and everything.
Not a big fan.
See, but if you do believe in ghosts or whatever, I feel like when you're in like an area like that where a lot of people have lived and died, there's definitely some kind of energy there. Like I used to live in Boston when I was younger, and we lived in the Bunker Hill area, and that's where like a Revolutionary War taking place, and like the vibe there was it was spooky, man. And they had all these like really old like spooky graveyards.
You said
And,
it
like,
was spooky.
it was like old like small like graveyards with like little sticks with circles on them, and you could tell that they've been there for hundreds of years, and it's just creepy.
Um, I just feel like, oh, I thought you were about to say something.
That random pin clicking.
But
But yeah, that was just a little quick history break.
yeah,
Segue.
what I was also gonna say is that if you really notice, and this goes back to like, not exactly like the transatlantic slave trade, but just like hurricanes, everything. Oh, excuse me. That water stream that from the Atlantic, everything comes right in here to St. Augustine and Palm Coast. That's why it's like the first area. Boom, right there. If anyone want to check on a map, and I'm gonna try and make a clip and put it up on the clip. But we come in right here, and it's crazy that this is almost like the start of America.
Well, I mean, St. Augustine is the oldest city. It kind of is the start of America.
That's what I'm saying. It's crazy.
And those same currents obviously brought Ponce de Leon this way.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
He was just like they were just floating around back in the day, and they just kind of like boop.
Especially they're exploring. They weren't really following a course. They were kind of just like keeping
They
track.
put the-
They were more
they-
keeping track of their course.
Yeah, and then it's just like, hey, we found land. It's crazy.
And the Fountain of Youth which didn't pan out for him.
All right, so for next up local news, let's talk housing. Let's talk some money investments. What is going on with the housing in Palm Coast?
Yeah, well, yes. Also, like part of that is the article that I was just reading about. What was it? Papa was, the councilman Papa, and he was like saying that they wanted to relegate some land to make some publicly affordable housing.
In Palm Coast,
Yeah, in Palm Coast.
do you know where they were going to put it at?
No, they were exploring. That's what they were talking about, is trying to find the areas where they would put the housing at.
I heard something about on Old Dixie, or not Old Dixie, Old Kings Road.
Yeah. And then this guy,
I think that'd be fine. Nobody's really over there.
well, I don't know where they figured out, but then this guy Danko, Councilman Danko, he's like saying, no, we should be selling this to the highest bidder. And that's like about like, Palm Coast started as one thing.
Or
But
retirement town.
yeah, but where are the people that work supposed to live at, especially nowadays? Because like the average person with like a service job or something like that, I don't think they can even really afford to live in, well, really anywhere these days. Like, people these days got roommates.
I was looking at this one thing. This guy is a realtor, and he said the average, what's it called, like say the average, it was a $240,000 house. He said the average mortgage would be 1,600 to 1,900. I'm like, damn, 1,900
Right now?
and that's the mortgage on the house. Yeah, and it was in Palaca.
See, the thing with the housing though also is that like interest rates keep going really high up. And that's creating like a false demand. And prices are already starting to fall again. I was listening to this Valuetainment show, and they had like an economist on there, and he was talking about like, I don't have all these results in front of me, but the amount of real estate transactions over the past few months are down he was saying like almost like 70%.
I think I saw something like that.
Yeah, and it's like a whole like storm of all these different factors of people think their house is worth this, but then they can't really even sell it because the interest rates are so high. Like what you just mentioned now, like 1,600 for a Palaca house or whatever. Like a few years ago, like even my sister, like when she got her house, she had like 3% interest rate.
Mm-hmm.
Interest rates now are like 7%, and that and a mortgage payment is like $1,000 a month. So you 1,600 is a lot. I mean, that same house that if you purchased it today, now you're looking at 1,000 more than that, $2,600 for, and people can't afford that.
Right.
And so then now, like, you got this Danko guy. Oh, we should be selling this to the highest bidder for development. It's like Palm Coast is already pretty well developed, and where do you expect the people to stay at? Like they got like the affordable. There's like over the beachside village. I think that's
Right. You
that's
got to do something with the people to also develop the other parts of this town.
and make it people that service the area have to live too. And it's not everybody is retired, because that's the original Palm Coast is a retirement place. And like, I feel like maybe even that's some people that aren't from here still have that.
Small town feel.
No, that's the idea if they have that this is still that,
Right.
but it's not anymore.
I feel like that's what our meeting was about.
I have a thing on the real estate transactions. So 2022, from compared to 2021, they went down 25%. Like all transactions down 25%. And while there's no stats for 2023, obviously it's January, but it says that they're just going to go down more.
Well, I mean, I hear all kinds of other stuff too about how, like, there's going to be layoffs coming up. I even like went and saw my friend in Tampa, Matt Fields.
Mm-hmm.
He's got his ear to the ground. He flips houses and stuff like that. He's got employees, and he's also pretty high up in this hedge fund that purchases house and turns them into rentals. And he was saying too, he's like, "Oh, asking me about my job. I have like my job's a government job, so it's not going to affect me."
Mm-hmm.
He's like, "Oh, are you worried about losing your job here in the next couple of months?" And I'm like, "No." And he's like, "Oh, wow, it's good." And he's just talking. He was going on about all these different factors, interest rates and inflation. And a lot of people say it's going to get ugly in 2023. So I guess we'll have to wait and see what happens with that.
How do you feel about like people losing their jobs? Like, and I mean, obviously it's a bad thing, but it's like, well, what about the job? What about the company? Like, I mean, a lot of people, they get severance packages. A lot of people can get other jobs. They just obviously aren't going to start making the money that they were
Well,
making.
I don't think it's the company's doing it. I think that they just won't be able to afford them because they're going to be selling less because people have less money. And I also heard that like this past Christmas, like electronic sales were down crazy high. Like people just can't
everything else-
afford.
yeah.
And also, again, I don't have the statistic in front of me, but credit card debt right now among like average citizens is super high. Everybody's like living on their credit cards again.
Even though I heard it's fake, I'm still at like my 30% utilization.
Yeah, I try to keep it. And
I heard it doesn't really matter as long as you just pay it off at the end of the month.
I had at one point I had everything maxed out, and I got it all down to zero. I paid off all my cards, but then you got to keep a little balance because you got to have some kind of revolving credit. Is like 30% of your credit score, so you got to keep something revolving. So I want to get in the habit of just paying for things
No,
that I normally buy on different cards.
let me ask you this. My bad, bro. Can you do this? Can you like, let's say I buy some shoes for $100 or on my credit card. Then I pay off one credit card with another credit card. Then I pay off the credit card with a credit card.
I don't think you can make a credit card payment with a credit card.
I don't see why
I
not.
think you have to pay it with a debit card. But I don't know. I've never done that.
Can you look up, see if you can make a
Look,
credit card?
if you're doing that, you're in bad shape.
Well, I'm just saying it's going to build credit because they're going to keep getting paid off.
Yeah, I mean, I guess, yeah. if you could do that, and also too, when you pay your balance off at the end of the month, you're really not collecting any interest on that. So technically,
Exactly.
if you say you had 3 credit cards and you did that 3 times, you could extend it out for like 3 months and never pay any interest on it.
Well, I just want them to keep recurring of paying each other off to build credit, just like that.
Well, yeah, I think like what I just use one specific credit card to like pay for gas. Use another credit card to pay this bill, that bill, and then another one to pay this bill, that bill. Then you're using them as stuff you're going to buy anyway, and you're still getting that revolving credit and getting your balances to move up and down.
Well, that's what you're supposed to do.
Yeah.
What I'm talking about doing is just forget all that. This is a completely different thing. Just buy one thing. Just say, okay, let's say your 30% utilization is $1,000. Now, on all your credit cards, you have good enough balance. So you spend the $1,000. Now you owe it. You pay it off with another credit card because I mean it's technically money. And then now you owe 1,000 on this one. Then you pay that one off with this one because this one's been paid off. And then you just keep paying each other off.
This is from Chase Bank. It says, suppose you have a high interest balance on multiple credit cards and you're looking to consolidate your APR, right? So it says you can do it,
Pay one
and there's
with
more
another.
than one way to do it too.
I think
But
that's a good idea.
what is the end game with that? When are you eventually going to pay the $1,000
When
back?
you run out of credit cards,
Well, it's not about when are you going to pay the $1,000 back. So check this out.
Hold on, no, it would be funny, and then what? Pay off the original one again and just keep doing it all day and never pay for the one pair of shoes?
But check this out. So after about 6 months of going back and forth, you can get increased limits on both of them. Oh no, I'm good. But then so then just like, okay, increase limits, now bring it up to 5,000. Now just like boom, 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 then bring it up. Eventually you're gonna be at like 100,000. But you don't have to like, you could even stay at the 1,000. You might need to go up a little bit on the 30% interest rate. But you could just stay at the 1,000, just keep going back and forth.
I don't know. I mean, I feel like if you're just using them to pay things you're going to pay for anyway, but that's also based on your limits are only going to go up so high based on your income as well too. Because they look at an income rate to debt ratio also.
I've seen people's limits go up to like 20,000.
to add to the credit card, I got the stats on the credit card debt. In 2021, it was averaging around like 5,500, right? 2022, 6,000. 2023 is probably going to be like what, 7,000?
What the
Average credit card debt
balance?
for an American.
See, that's pretty high because
$7,000.
yeah, and when you're talking average, because the average American makes 30,000 a year. Well, half of American workers make 30,000 a year. So for the average to be 6,000 credit card debt, that's 20% of your yearly income on a credit card.
And that means they're in debt that much.
And that means they're paying interest. And I heard the credit card rates keep going up too. So I mean, the credit card rates are already high as shit anyway. It's the same with like an AMSCOT thing. People get in that AMSCOT cycle where they're getting the 500, then they got to pay back 550. Then immediately they got to pay. Then they take another 500 out. So then they end up paying over $100 a month because they got in that hole. So it's the same with the credit cards. You get buried and
You do get
get in that debt cycle. And that's like the worst kind of money to pay because it's like,
Hey, and you're not getting anything for it.
yeah, you're not getting anything for it.
Okay, what?
According to Greg McBride, CFA, chief financial analyst, he's saying that the interest rates will climb. The average interest rate for a credit card will climb to 20.5% this year.
That's crazy.
20.5%.
Now think about that, John. That's $20 for every 100 that you owe a year.
That's expensive. So
Yeah.
the rich are getting richer.
Yeah, for sure. And the poor are just getting held down. That's what I was saying. Like, and it's the same thing with the housing, everything. Like, people are getting stressed out. And, like, same with, like, this guy, Danko. Like, we should sell this to the highest bidder. Like, well, the people need a break, man. But you know
They
what?
do need a break.
The people ain't gonna get a break because
You think they're gonna run it into the ground?
yeah, because people are greedy. And then
Crazy.
what can we get right now? What can we get right now?
That's true. What do we got next, man?
I think you wanted to talk about Shirley Chisholm. She's got going down there in Ormond.
So let's say what's today? So next weekend, not this weekend, but next Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, at the African American Cultural Society. If you guys want something to do locally, that they're having a Shirley Chisholm play going on over there, and we were talking about it, and we looked it up, and she's the first black congresswoman. But I think the interesting thing is she's very famous, but she passed away in Ormond.
Yeah, she retired to Ormond. We found out,
Yeah, that's crazy.
and also too, like when you brought it up, I said, I think you posted the advertisement for it on our Facebook, and I said, "Oh, well, what theater is that at?" And you said
African
the
American
African American Club, and I said, "Oh, well, I wasn't even aware that they had like." And you said they have a stage there, and that.
It's pretty cool. Definitely.
Well, that's interesting to know as well.
Yeah, so you guys go check that out. What else we got next?
A little bit before the podcast, we were talking about science and math. Nikolai Tesla, some big stuff.
John had a question.
So let me break down. Shout out to my boy Dylan. We were talking about science and math. I said I like math. He said he likes science. And how do I explain it? I kind of told him, I'm like, I'm not a big fan of science. And my beef with it is it's constantly changing. It's like something that they say is true today technically isn't going to be true tomorrow. And he said that's the beauty of science. It's constantly learning, constantly changing, which is deep, and
Yeah, remember
I
you
respect that too.
you asked me. You said, "Hey, is science? We say is math science?"
Yeah, it's science.
No,
real?
you said what is science, and I said observations and some math.
Basically, so the way that I feel about it is math is constant. 1+1 = 2. It's physical. You can see it. You could document it. But science is like talking about like gravity in space, which is kind of speculative. Like they're like, oh, it's this far away. I was really thinking about one day, I was like, do we really know?
See,
They could just be saying it.
See, but a lot of things that are pushed as truth are theory. Like it's the heliocentric theory, the theory of gravity. You know, gravity has never been proven. It's a theory. So in the scientific process, it's like, okay, this is my hypothesis. I'm gonna do an experiment. This is what I found. So, you know, it changes because people experiment in different ways and find out, well, maybe it appeared you saw this, but really it was this.
Exactly.
That's like, because science is observation. It's not like,
That's why I don't think it's math.
you know, that, all right, go ahead and you have the Nikola Tesla quote pulled up. Oh, you don't have that? I thought I sent it to you.
What did I ask him to pull up for me? I pulled up.
So anyway, Tesla said, here, I got it here. Today's scientists have substituted mathematics for experiments, and they wander off through equation after equation and eventually build a structure which has no relation to reality.
Right. That's
Yeah.
what I was saying.
And then, yeah, that's what you're saying about like the physics and this and that.
Yeah.
But then it's pushed onto us as
Real.
truth. Yes.
Yes.
And I also point out too that, like, you know, I like to like sarcastically like support flat Earth. And like, you know, I like to bring up that, like, you know, in our textbooks in school, it would show you like, this is the Earth's crust, this is the Earth's mantle, in the middle of the Earth is lava. You know, they don't tell you that the deepest that humans have ever been able to go into the ground is 11 miles, and that was only a 2-inch thick boring they bored into the ground, and they only got 11 miles deep before the Earth was so dense that. Jesus Christ! What are you doing?
Yeah.
Come on, man. Yeah, so they've never even seen that yet. They put that in the textbook, and then is that the theory of what the Earth
The
is made
center of
of?
the earth. So basically you're trying to say we've never been to the center of earth. They're just guessing. They're saying it's dense. Is it hot? Can you look
I
up
mean,
have we ever been to the
see,
center of the earth?
that's why I like to sarcastically support fake Earth, because we accept things that people tell us is truth, but we don't know. And if we can see in like the media lately, everything is like narrative control. And do we just believe it because we're told that or not? And that's why I like to have like a nice disbelief of what
That's deep. I never thought about it.
they are telling us.
Are you looking it up, bro?
It looks like, the seismic waves and whatnot, like an earthquake, right? It looks like they quote unquote like track an earthquake, and then they can see the waves that they produce and like where they travel, I
That's
guess.
through like vibrations, though. They're not looking into the ground. And in fact,
I guess they haven't really seen it, I guess,
but
obviously.
I'm going to point this out also too. Like when they're like looking for like terrorists and stuff like that in Afghanistan and this and that, and like they're trying to like find underground tunnels, they don't really have any type of. They can't look into the earth. It's too dense for them to penetrate, like say like sonar or radar, or like lidar or something like that. You can't just shoot that into the earth because it's too dense to get a signal back.
So if like in Mars you were underground, we wouldn't be able to see them at all.
Yeah,
It says here that there's types of waves. They have P waves, S waves, and those waves, I guess, provide properties that give us, I'm doing this quotation marks with our fingers, indirect evidence in determining the composition of the Earth's layers. So the different types of waves will indicate if this is a solid, like a liquid or whatnot. Actually, there's an inner core and an outer core, and I believe the outer core is magma, and the inner core is solid because it's so compressed.
Look it up.
No, that's right. I remember.
he said I got straight A's. That's right.
Yeah.
Okay. But yeah, so this was we were talking about the science question, and I just feel like for me it's just constantly changing and it's hard for me to validate it. Like somebody said, science is real. I was like, man, it's a lot of like hypotheses and stuff like that. And
Well, there's a lot of theories,
yeah,
and a theory is not a fact. A theory is the best provable way to see something right now,
right.
and that's what they go off of.
A hypothesis is educated guess. It's educated. So I guess when you're dealing with like really smart people like that, it's like they're just doing the best with the evidence produced and that we can find at this current moment.
And that's what the theory.
These are the conclusions that we draw from that.
Yeah, and that's the theory at that time. But agreeing with like what Tesla says, and now like the actor Terrence Howard, like he was in the news a little bit ago because he like is saying that math is inaccurate because in physics there's no beginning or end of energy, so you can't create an equation that says 1 times 0 is 0 because what happened to the 1? Now, when you first hear it without like really thinking into it, it's like, oh, true. But then he goes on and improves a lot of other points, and he brings it into the banking system as well. Like if you like type in your calculator now, like 0.1 times 0.1, it's going to come back at 0.01. But we all know that say 0.1 is a tenth. So let's say you call that a dime. So we all know that 1 dime plus 1 dime is 2 dimes, not less than the first dime.
So you're saying if you multiply it or add them together?
Multiply. But
But that's
the one time.
You just said
Yeah,
adding.
but the 1 times 1 would be like adding.
No, it's not times adding.
No, point one.
Point one. One times three is point one plus point one plus point one.
And point one times point one is really making it a tenth of that, which is 100th.
Exactly. But his point is that if you look at the point one as a dime, and you say, okay, let me times one dime, that's 2 dimes.
No, it's not.
That's his point, though, because
But his point is his. That's not his point though, because
well, he alleges that like now the banks use that calculation formula to kind of manipulate people's money.
I feel where he's coming from.
It's pretty
I
interesting.
feel where he's coming from by the one dime by one dime.
Well, I would
But-
just recommend.
But the way it doesn't work with money is like a dollar times a dollar doesn't equal a dollar.
It should equal $2.
But we're adding them together. We're not multiplying.
But what is multiplying?
You can't multiply dollars. That's where that comes.
See, multiplying is how many groups of what do you have? Like 5 times 5. I got 5 groups with 5 in each group. That's 25.
But a point is a fraction. So that's where it goes backwards. You're multiplying it by a fraction of itself.
Well, I'll just say it's a little in depth for me to just kind of repeat without doing the amount of research that he did. But people should check it out. Terrence, if you just Google Terrence Howard math, you can. There's plenty of videos, and it's pretty interesting, like the points that he makes and how he breaks it down.
I feel like John's correct because when you're multiplying with a value less than 1, you're really dealing with fractions. You're not dealing with a dime. You're dealing with less than 1. So when you multiply by something then less than 1, you're going to get a number that's less than the original number, obviously.
1/10 of that number.
Yeah, exactly. 0.1 of 1 would be 0.01. That makes sense.
I know, but like just like Tesla said, quit replacing common sense with mathematical equations. Because if you got a dime and another dime, that's 2 dimes, bro. Okay. I see you shaking your head like fuck you idiot.
No, I'm like, damn.
And look, and that's exactly why I threw the disclaimer out of you check out his video. Or it's not even his video. There's plenty of videos on it, and he'll say it in a way that makes sense. Because when I saw it, I was like, interesting. And a lot of people were trashing him as like, oh, this guy's an actor, not a scientist. But listen to him talk. He knows what he's talking about.
Okay.
He sounds like he's like a borderline genius.
Really, you think so?
Yeah, I mean, he's a smart guy. Smarter than to be labeled like, hey, the actor, Terrence Howard. It's like a limiting statement. We don't like what you're saying, so let's minimize you. Kind of like the rap artist Kanye West.
It's funny because in the movie, what's it called? Get Rich or Die Trying. He played, or not that, Hustle and Flow. He's like, hey, mine. He's supposed to be from Memphis.
Yeah.
So whenever there's like, it's like Frosty the Snow, mine. Or they're like Iron Man.
Man. Hey, Slim, tell me you ain't throw my tape in the toilet on purpose.
That was ludicrous when he fought after him.
Man, I don't owe you shit. And then he kicked his ass. See, that was the happy accident for him. I felt bad for him because he did a good job in that
He
movie
went to
too.
jail off that, right?
Yeah, but he also, then his girl went there and like really blew him up because he ended up kicking Slim's ass.
Did he die? Did Slim die?
No, Slim ain't die. He's got his ass beat. But he was really excited. He like got his chain on, and before he went to the meeting, he's like, all right, I'm gonna do this. I've been working hard. Here's how it's gonna go. He even gave him a free bag of weed and everything.
How long did he go to jail for?
I don't think it was like a long prison sentence.
It was like 2 years or something.
I don't think it was like anything major. But
He made it seem like he was going away.
the promotion that he got off of it
He was popping in prison.
was
Yeah.
worth the work that he put into it. Then he had like something that just kind of gave him opportunity for another avenue.
Was he whooping that trick?
And now you commented earlier, like that's what we were talking about earlier, and I say that what I just said is what we were talking about earlier as well.
What were we talking about earlier?
Yeah, at our meeting, And when you just said a few minutes ago, that's what we were talking about.
Okay.
And then what I just said in relation to how him beating up Slim or whatever, although it may have seemed a certain way at the time, it actually ended up helping him more in the future.
Hey, well, I guess we'll see, right?
Yeah, and talking more about that real quick. I just, I've been in trouble before, you know, and like when you do something you ain't supposed to be doing, or you feel a certain type of way, or maybe not necessarily ain't supposed to be doing it. Just, I didn't, it wasn't sitting right with me, and that's why I said to you, like, I don't feel good about it, and
Hey,
it
Tiff.
was giving me anxiety, and like I want to be a beacon of positivity only.
So our
Only.
so our page is called Flagler Weekly, and we just got hit up by another page called Flagler News Weekly. So it's similar, and they want us to change our name.
No.
No.
Well, you're gonna have to tune into the podcast to see what we really think about it.
No, Tiff, you know what I think about it.
But there's a lot of factors that we don't want to rehash right now.
What are they about? That's my question.
Listen, they do.
Are they
They
the same kind of like thing that you did?
no.
Oh, well then, I mean, how would you know if you didn't know?
Well, we didn't know, but that's not the point. Like they try to be more 100% factual. They're like a news source, whereas we're not a news source. We're talking about local things and giving opinion, but we're not trying to present anything here as fact.
Right. Yeah.
And by us doing that on a local level, I feel like could take away from their credibility of the brand that they're trying, that not trying, but have been building. So then, we just come in and yeah, we randomly selected it
Right.
because, in our circles, the media that I see, I didn't hear of them, but it's a thing around here.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, are you guys the same kind of?
No, we're not the same, but on a local level of just names and branding,
Sure, sure. I can understand the confusion.
you know, so you see a article by us and we're saying like, oh, this or that. And it's just not
Credibility or anything like that.
exactly.
Right. No, I get that.
You know what I'm saying?
I do.
So, and then plus I feel like, and also in some of the comments, people are like, oh, you sound like them. Like your name sounds like them. And I don't want that. Like whatever we do, we're doing this now. And I don't want to be off anybody's steam, ride anybody's type of wave. Like we're doing this. And this is going to grow on the strength of what we're doing.
You guys do.
And we're not even doing what we're even doing yet. This is all pre, we haven't even rolled out what we're actually doing. This is just one aspect of what we're have plans to do.
And I've seen your podcast. I like it. Good stuff.
But that's just
But
one.
it's all like,
That,
you like to hear from the audience because it's all opinion,
yeah, and that's another part of the thing that we want to do is like we want to talk about. We want people talking. Like with whether you agree or disagree, you can talk about it and let us know how you feel.
What we got next, bro?
I wanted to add something. I agree with you. Like before we move on, I want to add something. Like we're trying to create like a successful like local like place where people can talk about what they want, and the podcast is just a start to that. But part of being successful, I feel like, is creating your own image. And I feel like we didn't know about them, but like now that we do, it's like those. I feel like the names are just too close. I feel like you have to be like your own lane. We have to switch our
I would switch the name. Yeah. Especially
switch our name and build our own name up. I'm not saying that. I know. I understood. Like in the meeting too, you were like, you felt very passionately because you put like a lot of work into this, and I understand that. But that work didn't go for nothing, right? Like we are where we are. That got us here at this point, and now we're about to switch our name and really, we're about to be our own.
And have a popular supporter.
Agreed. Agreed. Right. Well, so one thing that we do here is, come together as a community because we want to. I mean, so if we have someone completely on a different realm, I mean, like I, as a community, like as a person,
Well, that's what I was saying about
would love to
circles.
reach out to them and like, I mean, me personally, hey, no hard feelings. However, got going on. I would love to, promote what you guys have because we are a community. She was misunderstanding.
And that's pretty much what they said. That's pretty much what they said.
Oh, well, yeah, that's awesome.
I felt like it worked out pretty good. I mean, I feel like you're not 100% happy with it, but I feel like that was the classy thing for us to do. And that's how I feel.
The highbrow thing to do.
I agree. It is a classy thing to do. And I would just say, in my 34 years of experience, the classy way never works out. Unfortunately, just there's movies and there's stuff like that, little Dave. And I'm not trying to. I hate when old people teach young people their experience, as in like I'm trying to put my failures on you, as if it's going to be the same thing. I'm not, but one thing a wise person does is learn from other people. And so this is going to think one thing that I tell you, like, time is going. You can get more money. You can't get more time. You know what I mean? So like if this doesn't work out, our time's been wasted. You know what I mean? And it's like, so
Well,
yeah, okay, we can change the name and okay, this, that, yeah, we could, but it's like right now at this point, we can't move backwards. You know what I mean? We can't get more time and stuff like that.
I'm with that. Like,
but I don't
I'm
feel
all
like
with-
I don't feel like we wasted any time. I feel like it was a happy accident that happened because I feel like this person with a little promotion and what they said that they would be willing to do for us is actually going to benefit us more so.
I agree.
I feel like
Like I understand because you're saying like okay later on, but as of this juncture right now, I feel like this has worked out pretty well for us.
I think it doesn't set a good precedent for our
And
company.
I understand, and you want to say, well, what are we going to do? Change this, change that every time? No. And now we have publicly recognized that there was a mishap. We were unintentional. So if the next name we select, if anybody tries to say, oh, you're trying to take my name, I think this precedent proves that that's not the case. For sure. Right now, we have set precedent that we are positive individuals
And
that want to do our own thing.
And the next name that you guys see us with next week, Dave came up with 100% on his own. I want to let you guys know that
It's
right
going to be Dave and John something, but only 4 letters. What if we split it up? So X Dave, and I'm not saying X, like X is the unknown. So it'll be X Dave, X John. Like Dave Palm Coast. There's no judgment in brainstorming. I'm seeing how you guys are looking at me.
You sound silly right now.
I'm brainstorming. There's no judgment in brainstorming.
now. Brainstorm. Go ahead.
Let's move on, man.
Well, let me just put it out here first with my vote. Maybe you guys can either reinforce this or trash it in the comments. I like Flagler Daily. And I'm going to with John and Dave.
I thought you said you didn't like Flagler Daily because we don't put out stuff daily.
We post daily.
You know what we do? We do it weekly. No, but that's not even really true though. It is going to be daily because right now this podcast is a weekly podcast. The call-in show is going to be on a different day. Boom, sports show, different day. So, and every day we are going to put, like I said, we're still brainstorming to figure it out. But that's what I liked as an alternative. But we'll think of something good. So we'll update on that when it happens.
I heard that John got a massage. Where'd you get a massage at, John?
Oh my God, bro. The most amazing thing in the world, dude.
What?
Let me show you where I got a massage at. I want to get the name because they deserve to get the recognition.
Was it in Flagler?
No, it's in Orlando.
Oh.
But Mellow Body Work. Oh my God, bro. So on one episode, Tyus asked me what was the most heartfelt gift that I've ever gotten for Christmas.
Yep.
And so Cherie, she got me, I've been talking about like wanting more massages and stuff like that. So she got me an hour and a half massage, and it was with cupping, which I've never done cupping either. Man, that is intense, dude.
That's like the glass cups with the suction cups or something.
That's like a swimmer thing. Like a lot of swimmers have like the cut marks on their back.
Bro, it's pretty
So
intense.
what does that do?
Helps a lot with like muscle.
So imagine, imagine, and the way it's funny that I said, imagine they're giving like your back a blowjob. Cause like, so it's like they lotion up your back and then they stick it on there and then they like suction cup it. So like your skin is like in it, you know what I
Now,
mean?
did you have the things on you for a while?
Well, look, she like moves it around, and then the suction cup is on everywhere you move it around. So like, it's on your back, it's on your neck. It's like it's giving you a massage. So like, it's pulling the muscles like into it, and then stretching them as it moves slowly.
See, that's like I haven't heard of that. I've seen before where they do like multiple cups.
Yeah, but you know, like when a girl is like sucking on like the shaft, and then like she moves to the head, and then like that's what it felt like. Like they go around the side and the base, and they might even like cup the balls a little bit.
With no disconnect.
I'm just saying, like this was amazing, dude. I never had a physical massage before, but like I fell asleep during it, and so. You know, it's just like you got to try the suction cups. I'm really speaking for them, and they got the different sizes and everything, man. I'm telling you, it's the most amazing thing in the world. But you can even get it to where it like hurts a little bit and it's really pulling on the muscles. But I'm telling you, you just got to try it all around the muscles on the back and everything like that.
It seems like I'm picturing it.
He said, I'm picturing it.
It says you shouldn't have those things on for more than 3 minutes, like in one place.
Yeah, but he's saying that, and that's why I
No,
thought.
in one place.
Yeah,
She
Yeah,
wasn't.
but if
She
she's
was-
moving it around, that makes
Bro, I'm
sense.
telling you, from the base to the top.
Hilarious.
Oh man.
And we could actually segue off of another topic off that too, because like, I'm 42. I've had a significant other for pretty much the entire time, right?
A significant.
So like,
other
and your
for-
girl will be like, "Oh, well, let me get a massage," and, and you got to do a good job. And then they'll be like, "Oh, well, let me get a little massage," and then I'll say, with the exception of now, always just like a very, okay, that's it. Now, and then
Are you saying girls suck at massages?
I would say, in my experience, majority yes. but what made me think of that is like your girl bought you the massage instead of throwing you the massage.
I mean, that's pretty much where we're at. But the thing is, like, I'm a big guy and I like you know what I mean? So it's kind of hard for her to like, So
Yeah,
she
that's
was
true.
like, it only makes sense to have a professional do it. And I was like, that does make sense.
That's,
Can I weigh on this? I'm 4'10".
Give her the mic. Give her the headphones too.
I don't want that. I don't want that.
All right.
Went to massage therapy school.
Oh yeah, Tiffany's a massage therapist.
Oh Lord,
I forgot.
Here we go.
Yeah.
Actually dealt with people of your size, and they automatically look at me and say, "Pff, deep tissue, like how can you ever, it's body mechanics.
Ooh.
It's body mechanics."
What I hear is she's
And-
saying your girl gave you a cop out.
I think the massage is super dope. That's what I'm gonna say.
Furthermore, let's go.
I forgot you had experience in this. I forgot.
I do.
that you're
So
a
the
massage
reason
therapist.
why I did not
What do you-
pursue massage therapy is because it is hand in hand with seduction.
That's what I said.
So me personally, and I'm not saying I'm a 10 by which means I'm not.
Are we talking
how-
about looks or are we
How,
talking
how
about?
No, but I could understand how
But-
like being a cuter girl,
It
like
does.
you're trying to do a professional job, and then the
and
dudes
there-
are just looking
there's
at
certain
you.
words that
Yeah.
the professional words, like you don't call it undress to your level of comfort as opposed to
Yeah.
get on the table
Drop them drawers.
yeah.
Yo,
Let me ask you a question. Would you get a massage by a man?
No, no, I wouldn't.
But John,
maybe
hold-
like
hold
a
on.
personal trainer, like a physical therapy if I hurt my leg in
Okay,
football or something.
but by your standards, like you need someone with a nice grip.
so
Get
check
that
this.
kung fu grip.
So check this out. When I was on the massage, like when I was on like my stomach at first, she like, all right, so I'm on my stomach, my face is in the little circle thing, and then she has like a little lift up thing, and she puts my feet maybe like this high. This is people like maybe like couple 3 inches off the little
To align
thing.
your back so you don't.
Yeah, but like I was like, I'm gonna be honest, this is like a very vulnerable position.
Okay, so
I got my legs
Uh-oh.
over there.
well, look, so that's you said it perfectly. It is very vulnerable, and there is a level of comfort that you have to establish with your massage therapist because
Right. It's
to
like
have
a
human
it's like a therapist.
well, of course, but at the end of the day, though, like you think about people who have gone like in nursing homes who haven't physically had interaction or even felt human contact in quite some time. COVID, prime example, when you got back into society, you know, what was the first thing you wanted to do? You wanted to give people hugs and embrace them. Same thing going back to massage therapy. It's very vulnerable, and that's why you really need to make sure, obviously for you guys who have ulterior agendas, you know, hey,
Not with the
anything
massages, but I
goes. We
figured-
call them J spas. No offense to my
Hilarious.
Japanese love. Have many friends who are Japanese or beautiful women. However, there's a certain stigma that actually goes back.
But
to
you
it.
know, I think didn't like almost like 2 years ago, the place over there by on Old Kings, didn't they have like some kind of sting or whatever, and
Yeah,
the girl
so
got
it-
busted like offering a
Me
cop
being
a hand
from
job or
St.
something.
Petersburg, it's pretty common for, and they're called J spas for a reason. So they do have stings.
No, but this happened in Palm
sting
Coast,
operation.
though.
Right. So what they usually do is they'll have another family member go literally 2 blocks down and open up another shop doing the same, you know, performance over there.
I don't think
but
like
there's no stopping them, guys.
I don't think like if you're a prostitute and you get arrested, that's not a felony, is it? Misdemeanor.
Hey, but check this out. So my face was in like the circle thing, and like my legs were up, and I was like really tense. She's like, "Yeah, you're like really tense. Like, is everything okay?" And I was like, "I'm gonna be honest with you. Like, just being very honest, I'm uncomfortable right now." But I was like,
And you just had a towel on.
I had my boxers on underneath it, but I'm just like, you know, anytime I'm like in like a vibe like this or something like that, I'm usually about to like, I didn't say this, but like I'm usually about to smash something, you know what I mean? But it's like just me and this girl in this room, you know what I mean? Like she's lotioning her hands and rubbing my back and my boxers. I'm like, bro, you know what I mean? And then it's funny because I was like, because like when she told me to turn over, I didn't want to have a stiffy. You know what I mean?
It
So,
sounded like you were going through a lot of eternal.
yeah, bro.
thoughts during this thing.
Yeah, I was like, bro. She was like massaging my chest. And stuff. I'm like, bro. Like, and I told her, I was like, I feel like I'm cheating on my girl. My girl paid for this. Like, what is going on? This is wild. This is OD. I was like, I can't believe people. I was like, people are allowed to do this. I'm allowed to come in here.
So erections and actually flatulence is pretty common in a. It's true because once you're actually able to get that state of relaxation, you don't really have a lot of control
Yeah.
of that. And that's
What
why
would you
being
be
a
more embarrassed?
professional-
Would you be more embarrassed like ripping a big ass fart in front of some girl, or popping
most of the
wood
time
in
you're
front of the girl?
sleeping, and they don't realize it because they're
I would be more embarrassed of ripping the fart, bro.
Yeah, 'cause
That-
you'll
that'd be way worse.
She's like,
you know?
I'm gonna leave this room for a little bit. She like fanning the door.
Like
and
the
shit.
boner that happens every time, probably. You know what I mean? But like the ripping
Bro.
a juicy fart, like right in my face when I'm massaging your lower back. That's
But
like
yeah, I was just
essential
like,
oils
bro,
gonna come out now.
that's the awkward.
Yeah.
That's the awkward
feel
rest
like-
of the damn time.
I feel like if you get like a stiffy, that just makes her feel uncomfortable, and I don't want to make her feel uncomfortable and stuff. She's cool.
But there are some the points, you know, when you are massaging, that's not everyone can help it.
It's crazy.
It's more common than you think, John. Is what I'm trying to say. So
And yeah, and it was kind of like, so like there was points where she would be like, okay, let me know the level of like where you could go, and I'd be like, so if you were outside, you'd be like, harder, harder. You know what I mean?
actually brings me to I was massaging this lady, and she loved hair pulls, and it was probably my first experience of being uncomfortable because she wanted her hair pulled harder, and she was smiling and laughing. She's like, harder, harder. And I was like looking at like the guy next door, like behind the sheet, you know, like, yo, like, is this okay?
Yeah, crazy.
Like, but you have to stay professional. You can't break scene. You know what I mean?
I'm saying.
So you just pull harder. Anyways, that's all I gotta say.
All right. Hey, we got to get together in the morning to handle that. Before you going to work tomorrow?
Yeah.
So let's try to do that before you head out.
I'm trying to get stuff done now.
Okay, but I'm talking about like going in and giving them the money. All right. All right. Well, I had to say that right now. Anywho, so that was a great story. You know, I've never gotten a professional massage before.
Bro, it's amazing, dude. Thank you so much, Cherie. That was the most heartfelt gift because also it was very thoughtful too. Like she's like, you know what? John works in like construction. I'm lifting up a lot of like concrete blocks, lifting up a lot of wood, heavy stuff and stuff like that, out in the sun, standing up a lot. And that really helped. And I have like lower back pain. So they were like massaging this area and stuff like that. And oh my God, it was just amazing, dude. I definitely highly suggest that for anybody.
I'd like to break it for one.
So, my bad. As the viewers may know, DPN goes to the gym as well as I.
Yeah.
We make protein shakes. John doesn't believe. What are your thoughts on protein, John? Whey protein, to be specific.
It's just like, so protein comes from steaks and stuff like that. Like, and it could come from like beans and stuff like that. But I'm just like, man, how do they get it into the dust form? And I think there's a lot of bullshit there. So I don't know if you want to look up like what is whey protein, or is it real protein?
I think it's
Like,
just wheat protein. I think that's wheat protein. But you know,
I think it's bullshit, bro. I think it's a lot of
I don't know,
bullshit.
bro.
I don't think it's good protein.
You say that. You said meat. You know, protein is meat. But like, look at like a gorilla. They're vegetarians, and they got mad protein that they get all from plants. I mean, there's multiple sources of protein. So, what you just think that's like a marketing ploy?
I have something. So this gets down to scientific amino acids.
Yeah.
So the protein, it looks like the chain is BCAA, and I guess with whey protein, you can achieve BCAA. So really, no matter
But now that
what
you
it
say
is,
that,
as long as it's BCAA as an amino acid chain, it'll give you protein, which will help you rebuild your muscles.
And that's what they want to make you think, which I can understand the logic, but that's almost like me saying like I had a professional mechanic build a car and you had Dave build a car. You're like, well, as long as the car got built, and I'm like,
so you think that meat protein is the best protein?
I'm not even saying meat protein, just like natural protein, not like synthesized through a machine, whatever else they want to cut it with.
And that's a good point too, because I always say, and we try to not eat anything processed whatsoever. Like
That's it. But that whey protein's processed.
exactly, that's
Boom.
a pretty good point out of contradiction, you know, because we do have that every day.
That's all I'm saying. Like,
But-
eat the spinach, eat the steak, eat the potatoes if you want to. You know what I mean? I know you see. And then they're like, oh, I got a shake and that was 1,000.
Yeah, but none of those things
1,000
that-
grams. It's like, bro, that's just not natural at
No,
all.
but you know, the spinach has no protein really. It has like iron and
Well, it's things that you need, but I'm just saying, like, eat your beans wherever you get protein from. Just, I don't like the shake. I don't think it's right. I don't think,
I don't
think
know,
your
man,
body
'cause,
should
like,
be intaking it like that.
like I feel like I could feel my muscles sucking that junk up. Like when we like leave the gym and have the shake, man, and I feel like they're talking to me, and they're like, thanks, sucking it up.
It says here from Peak Nutritionist that the animal-based proteins like whey isolate have higher biological value than plant-based proteins.
Oh, whoa! So you're saying that
Yeah,
whey
it's-
protein is animal protein?
Exactly. It says here that it's
Whoa.
actually better because it's chock full of all the amino acids. It's literally biologically made to be ideal for you. So it's better than like the meat. It's almost like a
I think that's an
futuristic. It's a
opinion.
futuristic substance,
I
bro.
think that's an opinion of it being better.
That's interesting. Because we get like
It's
Plus-
like you might as well just eat all your food like that then.
just drink your food like in the Matrix.
I'm
You
saying
out of the
can.
Matrix.
You can.
They say you can. I don't think it's a good idea.
That's probably better for your intestines though, anyway, because then
They don't have to break
they
it
can
down.
just
It's already
suck the
broken
stuff
down.
up and work. Because
Exactly.
a lot of people say it's like,
Your body's overworking.
yeah, that like this whole 3 meal a day thing is like crazy, and that's why everybody's so fat and has all these diseases.
I can imagine trying to like. You've seen how they light like a McDouble on fire or something like that, or a Big Mac. Like imagine trying to break that down in your body.
Yeah, and it's crazy too because a McDouble or a Big Mac, you could leave it out for what years? I think I saw something a little while ago where somebody had like a Big Mac that was like 20 years old from like the 90s or something like that, and it was still just
That's what I'm saying.
chilling.
That's going through your body.
Yeah. But that's a good point, man. Like, I haven't really thought about that because we go out of our way to not have processed foods all the time, but yet have a protein shake every day of processed.
Powder.
You just blew my mind, bro.
I'm telling you, dude.
But I can't eat that much food, though, because we got to get 150 grams.
You're not supposed to be getting that much.
I'm
'cause
trying to build my muscles up.
it's unrealistic. You could build your muscles up without that.
I'm trying to get brolic.
I think you're taking in too much protein.
You think so?
I think you're taking in. Look up. Is there such thing as taking in too much protein?
I actually agree with John says because he just weighs himself. He doesn't take account for the fat on his body. So your muscles need
Yeah,
the protein,
you're
not your
o-
fat. So
I
you
know.
need to weigh your protein,
Okay.
not your fat.
all
But
right.
you don't know how to do that.
Listen,
You can't do that on a
You look
regular
that up,
scale.
see-
and
Is
I
there
know
such thing
that
as too much protein?
I've heard that before. You want to base your protein intake on your muscle weight. You want to minus the fat. And actually, if you go by it, I'm supposed to be getting like 175. So I just go for 150 as like a more obtainable goal. When really, I believe I should be getting more. So, but again, we're not experts, man. I'm just trying to get in shape and live healthy. I know I'm less fat, and I know I got more muscles than I had a year ago.
I was re-looking at that TikTok, and your shoulders are getting bigger.
Heck yeah, man. Oh yeah.
So it's called your body fat percentage. So that'll tell you of your weight, how much is the fat.
Yeah, when I was talking to Matt Phillips the other day, because he started going to the gym like a lot too, and he was like, he goes to a place, he got measured up, and they like broke his whole thing down specifically. Like,
There's
I'm not gonna do all that. I'm not
there's
trying-
like a bunch of ways: skin fold calipers, body circumference measurements. That might be like
how accurate
yes,
is that kind of stuff though?
a dual energy X-ray absorptiometry, hydroelastic weighing, air displacement, plethysmography, bioelectrical impedance analysis, bioimpedance spectroscopy, electrical impedance myography. Those sound like
Yeah, that's pretty hardcore, man. Like,
yeah.
I've done the thing before. When I remember when I was in middle school or high school, like they caliper your back of your arm, and then they also have this thing that it's like a measuring tape they put around your arm, and they tell you how much fat you have on you based on that.
So did you look up? Did you look up? Is there Can you intake too much protein?
Too much protein intake can lead to elevated blood lipids, so like higher like fats and like heart disease. Extra protein, well, he knows this. Like he knows about it'll just really go hard on your kidneys. So
Yeah,
if you're intaking like a lot of protein, you got to be
Yeah,
drinking water.
exactly. He's right. As he mentioned before, a protein is a strand of amino acids. So a protein molecule is a big molecule, and if you get too much of that, it will clog your kidneys up, and it could put you in acute renal failure. In fact, that's called rhabdomyolysis. And a lot of times, like old people, like if they fall on the ground and don't get discovered for a while, they're trying to get up and they're like breaking down their muscles, and they're just sitting there laying, and they go into acute kidney failure.
Damn.
And sometimes they have to be dialyzed. Sometimes you can just give them a lot of IV fluids to just get more liquid, so it could pass through you, pass out all that that pig molecule.
That's crazy.
And that's what, when you mentioned the BCAB or whatever, and the protein we get, it's got the whey protein, plus it's got a certain amount of that particular amino acid as well. I think that's like a building block amino acid that helps make the make the protein strains out of the other amino acids.
How do they know all this with science?
Science.
Do they like look in the blood or something like that, and there's building blocks in there or something like that?
You know,
Um, got an A in biology. I'm just gonna recite a little bit. This was last year. So basically, I think it's like something. I think it's a microscope. Like they use like the electron
like an
microscope, and
electro.
yeah, and basically like there's only four like thymine, guanine, cyanide, and adenine, whatever.
Ooh.
And actually, I think that's actual like DNA. I don't think
No,
that's
those
like
are
element.
DNA strands, not.
But this is just DNA for me. But yeah, all those they're in a specific order, and then they make up who you are. So specific order, and they make up the food.
And they're just right there together.
That's the consistency of that
Yeah,
element.
they can see those strains because they're big. I mean, not like that big, but like under like the microscopes. And I think like the electrical microscope, they can actually see the individual molecules that make up each chain. So they say.
So they say.
So they say.
So they say.
Yeah.
It's the electron microscope. We're
Okay.
I think it does like 100,000 x zoom. It's crazy. Like
That is crazy.
yeah.
I would like to see what it looks like. So what do we got on the list?
Last thing we have is the Lamar Jackson injury, and I got a little something pulled up here. He has the injured PCL. I know you know that. A little more like in the medical field, it says it's a grade 2 sprain, borderline of a grade 3.
Can you
So-
talk about that, Dave?
I don't really know like that. You know, when I was doing all my medical stuff, I worked in more of a post-surgical cardiac. That was like the majority of the medical experience I have.
Okay.
See, that's the one thing people think like nurses know like everything about everything.
They're in
Like you get like a light overview of everything, and then like as you start working, you get your specialty, and then you like know more about that kind of thing. And in drugs specifically too, that like cardiac drugs, you be very familiar with those, and then you go to like a respiratory floor or a pulmonary floor, and you might not be as familiar with those drugs. And then when you work in like an orthopedic office with the sprains and breaks and stuff like that, you're gonna know more about what you're working on and forget about what you're not working on.
I feel that.
Yeah.
Well, about the Lamar Jackson thing, the one thing I wanted to bring up is it's very sad, but I was correct. I said he was going to get injured this year. He should have taken the contract. I still believe that. I understand where everybody's coming from, and I definitely want to obviously support black athletes and stuff like that. But I think to actually support him is to tell him what I believe is the correct decision that he should make. And I believe the correct decision was he should have took the guaranteed money from before, because now he's injured.
So he was being greedy.
I don't even know if it was I don't know if the word's greedy because that has a negative connotation to it, but he was trying to get what his worth was, and he felt his worth was one thing. But the thing about that is like,
But isn't your worth what you can get?
exactly, that's what I'm saying. So it's like, bro, you think that's your worth, but it's not your worth. Trust me, they would have given you your worth. But the thing is like, bro, you get injured a lot, and so it's not looking good for the situation. Like, he has like a lot of his game is using his legs and running the football and stuff. But he's a quarterback; he's supposed to throw the ball. But they have specific plays where they have him run and just little knee injuries, people tackling him low and stuff like that. You're gonna catch a helmet to the knee, and that's bad, especially if it hits the front of your knee or the side of your knee directly. That's where you get them PCL injuries from.
So I'm not like a huge sports fan, but I know that there's like running quarterbacks,
Yes.
and then there's ones that just passed.
Yeah.
So he's like a running quarterback.
Exactly. He's like, do you remember Michael Vick?
Mm-hmm.
He's like breaking all of Michael Vick's records. You know what I mean? So he's like that, but he just tore his PCL.
So what's his money gonna look like now? What kind of deals does he have?
Well, he had a deal on the table for $250 million. Now it's not on the table. Now,
So was he like how? So he's
and that was when he was healthy. before this season.
So is he at like the end of his current contract?
Yes.
So he's in rough shape.
Yes.
So how much? What was his prior deal?
You want to look that up? See what his last deal was?
I see that's like crazy. Like
Oh, I already have it. It says that Lamar Jackson signed a 4-year, $9.4 million deal with the Baltimore Ravens, including a $4.9 million signing bonus, $7.5 million guaranteed, with an annual salary of 2.3.
See, now that's like a rookie contract, I think.
Yeah, I think that's like his.
But
his
and you
first.
can only get a little bit of money. But the Browns, they just signed their quarterback $300 million
yeah.
guaranteed, and he's not as good as Lamar Jackson. So I get Lamar Jackson on that. But this is the thing. This is what I think a lot of people aren't paying attention to. Okay, so the team that did that was the Cleveland Browns. He's on the Baltimore Ravens. Now imagine if it's like you play for a team of where somebody is like, what's the term? You play for a team where somebody's like, they're just spending crazy. They're getting a lot of money and they're just spending whatever. They don't really care because they never really win. The Cleveland Browns, they don't really win. Why? Because they spend a lot of money on some like diva players and they never pan out. They're just trying to get a little spark. They don't really work on the trenches and really work on hard work and stuff like that. So you're looking like, now imagine if you're the child of a parent who is a millionaire, but they're a millionaire because they don't spend money on bullshit. So you're like, oh, well, look at Tommy. He got the new J's and he got a gold necklace and he got gold watches. Like, I want that stuff. And they're like, yeah, but his family's broke and they're going to continue to be broke and be in the hood. You know what I mean? So like Lamar, you could have took the 250 from you guys and they could have took the rest of that money and got some players around you because you're complaining about not having any players, but you want all their money. It doesn't work like that. So Browns gave their quarterback all their money and they don't have any money to get any players around them. So they're not going to win. So it's like, you can't have both really. And it's like
What do you think he was like holding out for?
more money.
But like what? Like 300?
Yeah.
He was gonna get what, 250?
Yeah.
But he was bitching because he didn't get 3.
Yeah.
Now he probably ain't gonna get none.
That's what I was exactly
But
saying.
he's sitting on like probably like 10 or something.
Exactly.
Because he already had a deal.
And he gets commercials and all that.
How
stuff.
much money? Okay, let's say you have $80 million and
Right.
you have $300 million. How much differently do you think those two people's lifestyles are?
I'm still gonna be right next to you on the beach.
Exactly.
In Trinidad.
You just
Like-
have more in the bank and say you got that much more.
Yeah,
I
like
mean,
okay, your yacht is probably gonna be bigger than mine. But who needs that much yacht? Anyway,
you could buy one yacht for 200 million.
Whatever yacht you buy, I could rent that one for the day and still be next to you.
Yeah, that's so crazy. You know, an average person's like, well, I make like 90.
I seen this thing where it was like, how much money is like where you've like, you don't need any more money. Like you've
think-
made too much money. It said it was like 300 million. I think I seen that.
Nah,
like, on
I
a
think
bunch
it's
of places.
175,000.
What?
Yeah, I think once you hit, they say on a happiness scale, and look it up. They say on a happiness scale, after 175,000, it's just like whatever.
Well, I mean, like in like terms of like, just like people that are just grinding to get money. Like you really, 300 million is where anything that you want you can buy. You know,
Yeah.
there's nothing more.
I feel that.
But not really though, because you could buy one boat for $200 million. So if you're like a billionaire, but like what was? I mean, you're saying like you wouldn't even grow up like that. Like having any boat whatsoever would be fine. Why do you
Right.
need? And I see that all the time. The more money people get, just the greedier they get, not the more satisfied they get.
Oh, we're not going to talk about anybody, but you were just talking about a story before of somebody we know that's making some pretty good money, and they're fairly cheap.
Yeah, you know what I saw the other day? This guy, you know, like how a lot of these people on like TikTok and Instagram, they'll like do like little social experiments. And the guy, he had a suit on, and had just dollar bills all over the suit. And he went to like
Oh, I've seen that.
he was like around, they were like just around like Wall Street or something
Yeah.
like that, and like a lady with a Louis Vuitton bag, she's like taking all his things, taking
He's
all
like,
his
is that
things.
a real Louis bag?
Yeah. She's like, yeah, well, I have a nail appointment tomorrow. And then he's like in a rougher area, and like each hobo would only take like
$3.
$3, and it was like, man, like I don't know, man. Like I don't want to be all about like
Money.
how much bread would I like to have a yacht? Maybe, maybe not, but I don't want to be like just an endless machine of I need more, I need more, I need more. That doesn't sound fun.
I feel that.
What John was saying, it said that a global study found that the ideal point of income for an individual would be like 75 grand, and they would be like happy. But it says that people that make like between 60 and 75 have emotional well-being. I guess half of the working Americans aren't doing too well emotionally.
Most Americans don't make
You just
60s.
said you just said the
Exactly.
average American's like, I make 90. I was
No, no,
like,
no,
what
no, no.
average
The average American household income is like 55,000 for both people in the house.
Right. That's why I was confused when you said the
So
average.
no, I said the average American worker makes 30,000 or less. Half of them.
For it says here for the individual income level for life satisfaction was 105,000 per year. So if you're out there
I
making
feel
a
like
buck,
then you're like, you got enough, you're comfortable, but you're like, you're not greedy. You're not really getting the temptations to be more greedy.
You're making about 10 grand a year.
You mean 10 grand a month?
10 grand a month. You're making about 10 grand a month. Life's good. That's why I said that's my goal. I'm trying to make 10 grand a month.
Yeah, and that'd be nice. And when I was younger, I would think like, oh, I'll buy this, I'll buy that, and then as you get older, you're like, I'll be like, I'll go here, I'll go there. Like I don't.
How much do you got to make a day to get 10 grand a month? So 10 grand divided by 30 days. You want to try it quick?
What's
Is it $333 a day?
I want to say something like that. Yeah, that sounds about right.
about $333 per day.
See, that's not bad. I feel like
That's not hard at all. Yeah, really. You can hustle for 330 day, like doing whatever. You could literally sell $300 worth of t-shirts.
I feel like I could. I feel like for me that would be very doable.
I'm trying to think what I could do to make $300 a day. Do three tasks that cost $100
That's a solid way of thinking about it.
a day.
Remember that one,
Less tax though. Go ahead.
bro? That one weekend, bro, we made like how much? Me and him, we made like, I think it was like $1,000, almost like $2,000.
No, it was like 17 because we popped that shed.
Yeah,
and we put
almost
some appliances.
$2,000 in 3 days, bro. That was crazy.
Yeah, that was good, and that's extra income too. That was a sweet gig.
That was
I missed that.
That was like such a hype feeling. Like we were like driving around. We were like, I was over there.
Yeah, you came with us too, and that was such a fun job.
I was
Yeah,
over
it
there.
was.
I was like haggling with people on Facebook. It was great.
That's another job that we need. Yeah, we need to figure out how to make $300 a day. That's really not that hard.
No, I can. That's doable.
Oh, we should make some original content on that.
On how to make the 300 a day.
Yes, around Palm Coast.
That's a good idea.
I like how you were like $100 ideas. We can make that like a little series. $100 ideas to.
Yeah,
$100 ideas. That sounds good.
that's a great idea right there.
Yeah.
So,
Patent that real quick.
we went through all our subjects. I think this one flowed pretty well. I like how he goes through the topics and stuff
Yeah.
like that.
You know what we didn't talk about though, and I feel that they're good. And like we say every podcast, we're sorting out the bugs and stuff, and that this has been, I feel like, the best flow yet. No hiccups, no real technical problems. Topics have flowed well. We had some laughs, which was good. It was like the first. Well, I won't say the first time, but I just will say like keep tuning in.
Definitely.
Because once we forget that camera's there, it's just going to be even more funny. And it's coming. And plus, all the other stuff too isn't necessarily just them looking at me and you. These are other things too coming.
Yeah, but I think people are gonna definitely, we just can keep going with it. We're moving a good place. Episode 6 already, man. Episode 10's gonna come like nothing.
And then that I said, what was it? We're talking about like 50 podcasts is like a landmark. That like what a very small percentage of people actually make it to 50.
Yep. By the time we get to 50, we're gonna have a lot of people following.
Yeah, and it's it's kind of sucky in the beginning. It's kind of stressful, and you don't want to look stupid in town or on air. And but I will say that like one thing I really like about doing this is that we get to watch ourselves later. You know,
I don't get why you say that's
because
something that you like.
because here's the
about
thing:
doing.
everybody, if you're like, oh, I'm this type of person, I do this. That if you ask somebody, or not ask them, but you're in a conversation with a person, I'm the type of person that does this. I do.
But you don't know if they actually are.
They are what they think. We get to see ourselves separately
makes sense.
during this time. So, oh, this is me talking. Oh, I'm a nice guy. I'm this. I'm that. Well, we're seeing it. You know, we're seeing
That's
it.
real.
We're seeing it in real time. And then if you can see things about yourself that you don't like, or maybe how you talk, or any like, and this is a confidence builder too. Like, you know, a lot of people are camera shy.
That's true.
You know, a lot of people got stage fright.
That's true.
And I feel like in doing this, we're just throwing ourselves out there. So whatever it is,
I agree.
it's like it's a good exercise in self reflection. Is what I'm trying to say,
Definitely is.
and I dig that. And you know, I want to be known around town as like, hey, look,
That's what's up.
you know, these are nice people. Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, we're about to get out of here.
Yep.
We are going to shout out Sunshine Heating and Air Conditioning. They are a big supporter of us. We love them. We would definitely love if you guys would support them and follow them. And I'm going to try and put their link in the page. And then also Precision Painting. We love them as well. And they do residential and they do commercial painting. And they're a fairly new company, but longtime Flagler County resident. So, like I said, we want to support everybody. And that's our number one goal, putting light on small businesses. So, everybody, if you can follow us. I know we're going through a possible name change here soon. So, just stick with us. We're going to keep the content flowing. And, you know, this is just where we're at, y'all.
Yep. See you guys later.
Peace.